This morning, we have been talking about creating a thriving garden and landscape in Florida. You know, it can be tough if you're not planting the right things in the right spot. That is why we have 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean on this story. She's live from Tampa's Little Red Wagon Native Nursery. What's up, Jenny?
Yeah, good morning, you guys. Right plant, right place, right time. All of that is important because really what we want is something that we can plant and not have to work too hard on. We want to make it easy, but we also want to attract some of those beautiful pollinators to our yard. And this is the way to do it. Anita Camacho is joining me now. She's the owner here. Tell me how we can create like the perfect pollinator garden.
Well, for butterflies specifically, we want to get a host plant and a nectar plant. What that means is the butterflies are going to lay eggs. For example, the monarch will lay eggs on this milkweed, and the caterpillars eat it up. And then it grows back, but then you've also got to have nectar resources as well. So the adult butterflies have nectar to eat. So having both things will definitely bring movement into your yard. It's as easy as 2 plants. And if the milkweed is blooming, you actually have nectar and host plant at the same time. But most of the time, once you've planted milkweed, the monarchs find you and eat it up. So this is also aquatic milkweed. So we've got one that really does well, full shade to full sun. So all of the different types of landscape, this plant will work, and it's evergreen, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then the pink swamp, these are just coming out of dormancy. So they're dormant during November to February. So they're just now starting to leaf out, and these get a lot bigger. And if you want to bring longwings into your yard, you can plant a corky stem. This is a passion vine, which also feeds the birds with its purple berries when they ripen. It's a cute little vine. It's not an aggressive vine, but it looks a little like ivy. Lots of opportunities. You can use it as a spiller plant, hanging basket, or have it climbing on something.
And so it's so important, and not to be, people really don't need to be afraid if they also see bees kind of coming around their yard. Right. The honeybees are really doing an important job.
Well, honeybees too, they're not native, but they are doing an important job. But our native bees even are better pollinators in Florida than the honeybees, and really important to our native landscapes.
Perfect. And the butterflies just now kind of starting to come around, so we might see some monarchs in the next few months?
Well, monarchs are here year-round in Florida,
okay.
So we do see the migration a little bit in Florida. They'll start popping through here like late March. But we do have monarchs that are here year-round because we have the evergreen milkweed that has been here all along. So.
Do they need a lot of water right now, or are these pretty good with what we get?
They are drought tolerant to a point, you know, because like this plant growing all year long, it grows in ditches and woods and all kinds of different environments. So it is green all year. And if the ditches are dry, for example, it's surviving. And if they're wet and full of water, they survive. So they really handle everything Florida has to throw at them.
Anita, the key thing here is if anybody has any questions, they can always come see you.
Absolutely. We have a great team.
Them. Yes, you have a team of people that can tell you what to plant, where to plant, how to plant. And Grant, you know, this time of year it can be tricky because I know we're about to get really hot and really dry. So that's something we have to consider when we start to plant something.
It is. And don't be afraid of those hot and dry conditions because some of the native species like those hot and dry conditions and are a little more drought tolerant. Jenny, I always enjoy going down to, you know, some of the local gardening centers like you're doing this morning and talking to the people. There's so much knowledge.
Yes, they know their stuff for sure here too.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, a font of great information, especially for our local stuff that we've got here, because it is very different from the rest of the country. Let me talk about the rainfall because Jenny mentioned it as we head into really the thick of the dry season as we go through the back half of the time of the year where we don't get a lot of rain and temperatures are starting to warm. So the soil dries out much faster. So as we head through March, April, and May, that's when those temperatures really begin to rise, and we head to the back part of the dry season, and that's when we enter into the fire season as well. Because a lot of the brush is dry, we have a lot of the leaves that have fallen, and some of the new leaf and leaf growth is starting to redevelop on our trees. So there's a lot of fuel for things to potentially burn, which the fire season is a natural part of our ecosystem. So it's not always bad, it's just we need to do our part to try to keep the fires where they need to be as opposed to going into more residential areas. And then we hit the rainy season. Look how quickly it just turns on from May, where we average 2.6 inches of rain, to June, where we average more than 7 inches of rain. Our wettest month is August as we head toward the peak of hurricane season, but we are in the dry season right now. In fact, 2023 has been exceptionally dry. Only this year we've seen 2.01 inches of rain, which is more than 2.5 inches of rain in the deficit. So we're starting to need at least a little bit of rain. We're used to the dry conditions. We're just running into drier than normal conditions. In fact, a good bit of Florida, more than 60% of the state, is abnormally dry. 30% underneath moderate drought, and it looks like there is an evolving drought that may be starting to take place over the Tampa Bay area as well. No rain in sight, with above normal conditions expected as we head through at least the next couple of weeks. Not only is it the dry season, but it's also allergy season. The pollen's starting to fly around. The tree pollen's been flying around for a while, but now we're starting to see some grass pollen enter into the picture. The little bit of rain that we've had with those longer days now, with more daylight and warmer temperatures, the grasses are starting to grow and beginning to release some of that pollen into the air. So Thursday and Friday, probably high pollen readings across the area. So if you haven't started to experience some of those allergy symptoms, you may start to feel it later on this week.